The shooting range. In this episode, pages of history, long odds over Romania, triathlon, comparing phantoms of all nations, and metal beasts, the American AVRE. Now that we've introduced the major new aircraft to you, it's time for some tanks. Please welcome the American M728 Combat Engineer Vehicle, based on the M60 MBT. The first things that catch the eye are the crane boom and the dozer blade, but let's take a look at what's inside this unusual machine. Its main caliber is a 165mm gun with elevation angles between -10 and +20 degrees. Auxiliary calibers include 2 machine guns, 1 coaxial and 1 pintle-mounted. The engine and transmission compartment is in the rear, the driver sits in the front, and 3 more crew members are in the turret. The ammo totals 30 rounds and is divided into 3 groups. The highlight of any HE flinger is, of course, its cannon. This one doesn't need a special introduction, since every fan of large calibers already knows it from the British Centurion AVRE. All the expected traits are present, including an unhurried reload rate and a deliberate muzzle velocity. These features are easily compensated by the capabilities of the shells, though. Even the best protected opponents of this tank can't handle a 28-kilogram Hesh round to the turret. Just get used to the ballistics, and you're good to go. Playing arcade might help with that. And don't forget to use the rangefinder every time you can in other modes. Better to spend some time ranging than reloading and attempting a second shot. The gun, however, is the only element that makes this vehicle close to its British sibling. It's based on the M60, which gives the best possible speed going forward, while its reverse speed is a bit worse. Keep that in mind when you choose your position, since you might need to make a U-turn to retreat and reload. Anyways, you don't always need to avoid enemy fire on this machine. The M728 has a better protection level against kinetic shells than the Centurion AVRE, so only a few pieces need extra care and protection. The first one is the Commander's Cupola. A powerful cap round can and will incapacitate no less than 3 members of your crew at once, sending you to the hangar screen. The second one is the turret ring, but this part takes a lot of aiming to hit. As for high explosive rounds, the British vehicle handles them much better than the M728, since the latter has no reactive armor. Another great feature here is Commander Fire Control. Having a chance to give it back to your opponent even if you lose the gunner is extra valuable. What this vehicle is lacking, though, is smoke launchers. With a reload time that long, it wouldn't hurt to have a way to hide from your enemy's eyes, even in a clear field. The M728 is a classic HE flinger, with all its typical pros and cons. It's tricky to use, but each frag scored with it comes with extra satisfaction. That's why we love them. This story could be described as a boxing match. In the right corner, we have the magnificent, fearsome P-38 Lightning, an aircraft with an extraordinary level of flight performance at any altitude, both high above and close to the ground. It was a masterpiece no other country managed to match before the end of the war. Moreover, there were 75 of them in this story. In the left corner, we have 26 Romanian IAR-81 fighters, which couldn't even boast much in the summer of 1941. In the early morning of the 10th of June, 1944, they had 2 cannons, but still sported their 1,000 horsepower motors that lost half of their thrust when they reached 5 kilometers of altitude. So, both sides start the match even before the signal is given. Who's gonna win? The answer might seem obvious, but after a thick 15-minute aerial fight, no less than 26 Lightnings were missing on the American base in Italy. The Romanian side lost 3, with 2 of them simply colliding mid-air. It's been many years since, and we're still pondering the same question. Just how? Well, those 26 IAR-81s belonging to the Romanian Air Force 6th Fighter Group were commanded by Lieutenant Dan Vizanti, a combat veteran with a lot of experience gained on the Eastern Front. He learned how to fight, and if he couldn't win, he knew how to survive through the worst. And the most valuable part of his experience was his skill in knowing how the enemy thought. That's exactly what he did that morning on the 10th of June. The American commander who formulated the task for the 75 Lightning pilots might have been overconfident. The orders for the fighters were as follows: load up on bombs and extra fuel tanks, make a discreet and low-altitude approach, and attack enemy air defense positions covering the Ploiești oil factories. Then they were to destroy Romanian fighters on the airfield to ensure safety for American bombers that were going to come in later, at a higher altitude. There was one thing the staff officer missed in this plan. Dan Visanti knew this tactic through and through. It was exactly what he expected from the enemy, and he was not going to let someone shoot his fighters before they could take off. Which meant that they had to spare no valuable fuel, put all fighters up, gain altitude, and wait for the report from the ground radar systems that the attackers were approaching. Well, the report came on time. The old IAR fighters used the sun to their advantage, diving with it behind at maximum possible speed, and attacked the overloaded Lightnings, leaving them no chance. The Romanian pilots also enjoyed another useful feature. The twin-boom Lightnings were impossible to mix up with their own planes. Some of the American fighters caught fire and fell right away. Some got so damaged they had to leave, try to make it back to the base, or even abandon the machines. Others dropped their bombs and pushed their Lightnings as fast as they could, trying to flee in a level flight under heavy fire from Romanian anti-air guns that managed to down a few more attackers. The IAR fighters could not pursue the amazing twin-engined American planes with their slow, weak engines, almost out of fuel and ammo. Still, they didn't even need to. The battle was theirs. By the way, the bombers never arrived that day, probably because staff officers were puzzled, asking again and again, just how? Well, that was how. One of your recent comments suggested we have a triathlon among the phantoms of all nations. We loved the idea, and there's quite a number of these international machines. Why don't we compare them? Please welcome the participants of the Phantom Triathlon. A couple of F4Es representing the American and the Israeli tech trees. The F4J will defend the honor of the US Naval Air Force. Germany sent its Phantom Modification F. The British tree presented its FGR-2, while Japan chose the F4EJ Kai. It's far from the complete list of the family members, but other modifications are either too similar to these or clearly underperforming in comparison. That's why they're going to sit back and watch the show today. As usual, we'll start with a race across the English Channel. Let's fuel the planes with the minimal amount and keep the weapons stockpiled in the warehouses. The planes line up at the starting line, the canopies are closed tight, the engines are hot and ready. Go! With roaring turbines, all planes dash forward and take off in mere seconds. The British plane takes the lead right away and continues to improve its position. The carrier-based American plane shows the best speed in the main group, while the rest keep almost nose to nose. Only a few minutes later, we can see the French coast. Now let's check the strike capabilities of these Phantoms. First, they'll have to destroy as many tanks as possible using conventional bombs. We'll take some AVREs for targets. Let's say 12 of them. The second leg of this test will check the efficiency of their high-precision armament against a group of 6 anti-air vehicles. The British pilot chose a set of 540-pound bombs and hit 7 targets with their accurate drops. The rest of the competitors took 24 500-pound bombs and destroyed a dozen MBTs each. The FGR-2, the EJ Kai, and the F4J are done here, while the rest restock with guided missiles and bombs. The crews climb higher and take to work. The German plane spends all its ordnance after 2 launches and returns to the base. The Israeli and the American pilots expend some Mavericks on their own targets and proceed to bomb the targets of their German counterpart. It's a family event, after all. The last test will show how they perform against enemy air. The pilots will have to knock out a couple of MiGs at maximum possible distance, then handle a group of loaded Mirage F-1 aircraft in close combat, and finally, try to win in a frontal attack against the flying gunboat, the Su-17 M4. No reloading allowed this time. The F-4F goes first. The German version has no medium-range missiles, so it has to start a close-range fight with the Mirages. With some effort, it downs a couple of enemies, after which it uses its 3 Vulcans and saws through the Su from a couple kilometers away. Now it's the Brits' turn. The pilot hits both MiGs with the Sparrow missiles. The 2 Frenchies are quickly handled too, but the frontal attack becomes a non-trivial task with only a single cannon on board. Both F-4Es show a similar result, albeit they felt more confident in the frontal attack with their 4 cannons. Now, the carrier-based American version shows a different approach. It manages to take out the MiGs at a longer distance thanks to its better missiles, after which it demonstrates the advantages of its helmet-mounted display in close combat. On the other hand, it also shows the worst performance in a frontal attack. It only has a single cannon and not even a Vulcan. And the best result here is shown by the Japanese plane. It first replicates the range of the F-4J with the MiGs, then uses its all-aspect missiles on the French planes. You can save a lot of time if you don't have to attack the target from its 6. And the 4 cannons make short work in a frontal attack. Time to sum up. You might be surprised to hear that all winners today are Phantoms. Jokes aside, we decided to divide our awards into 2 categories this time. The best multi-role Phantom today is the Israeli F-4. Its American sibling was very close but lacked one small feature: 2 more missiles for close combat. The best fighter today is the Japanese plane. The American carrier-based version is faster, it can carry the Sparrow missiles instead of the Sidewinders, and it has the HMD, but all aspect missiles and powerful cannons tip the scales towards the F-4EJ Kai. Well, let's give the Phantom some rest while we answer some of your questions. The first question was sent by a player called Hamza Sheikh. Can we use drop tanks as more fuel and drop them as bombs? Hi, Hamza. You can't use the fuel tanks as bombs, unfortunately. They have no device to set them on fire, and while ignition from external sources might be possible, it's highly unlikely in practice. This theoretical bomb would also have a much lower efficiency compared to napalm ordnance. Emergency Broadcast System asks, why doesn't the bomb series work when you use the weapon selector? Hi there, EBS. If you want to drop multiple bombs at once, assign a key for Secondary Weapon Ripple Quantity option found in Controls, Aircraft, Weaponry. After that, you can choose bombs or rockets with the selector and set the number of them to use each time you press the key. One of the modes you can enable is bombing in series. Another question comes from Silver Raptor. Can you explain all the abilities for scout drones? Hi, Silver Raptor. Capabilities of recon drones did undergo quite a number of changes, so let's have a closer look. The first icon is pretty straightforward. It means going back to the tank. The second function is a new one. If you choose it, the drone will start going in circles over the battlefield. The third icon shows the night vision devices. The fourth one is sight stabilization, nothing new here. And the fifth one is used to mark targets for your team. That's it. Fastesis writes, shooting range for the British Javelin? Hi there. It's an unusual plane, so we'll get to it sometime in the future. Thanks for the idea. And the last comment for today was written by Well GG Bro. How do you decide what comments to pick for the hotline? Is there a certain criterion? Hey bro, we're trying to choose comments where replies might be useful and interesting to many of our viewers. And of course, we see all of your questions about whether or not a certain vehicle can make an appearance in the game. Believe us, we really enjoy delivering new machines that you ask for. But all we can say in advance is that there's a chance for every vehicle that exists in reality if it has a place in War Thunder gameplay. If you want to suggest a deserving machine to introduce, please refer to the official developers forum. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next video. Don't forget to choose the right fuel for your tank before battle, leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.